Welcome to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharan Raghavan.
Seems like we are getting more and more into the consultant territory these days. I've seen a lot of consultants come up with this big, bold punchlines to scare their clients into doing something that they want them to do. Are you trying to pull a fast one on our audience also?
It's called triggering action, but
Euphemistically.
pretty much. So,
Okay.
see, it's about brand loyalty. People who've read the topic would know that it's a fantastic topic in my opinion, because many marketers swear by it,
Mm-hmm.
but there are recent studies that say we don't understand brand marketing as much as we think we do. So I thought it might be worth diving in deeper to understand if brand loyalty is something that's real or in fact mythical for marketers.
Okay. Now that you've put out the bait, let me bite it. What do the recent studies state?
So there was this study called Science of Loyalty by MailChimp and Canvas8. And they said there are 13% of consumers who believe in a brand or are attached to a brand emotionally. That's 1/3.
Okay.
That's a lot less than what we marketers would want to believe. And it also highlights the fact that speed, ease, and habit are the 3 factors that really drive repeat purchases. In fact, 97% of consumers prioritize these 3 factors over any emotional attachment they have to brands.
Wow. This is quite surprising, I must say. Doesn't speak to, in fact, traditional concepts of loyalty at all.
True.
So, why do you think there is so much gap between what we marketers think and what the data shows?
Because we look at brand loyalty as a sense of emotional bonding with consumers.
Yeah.
But consumers are a lot more promiscuous, if I can use the word, than we'd like to believe. They stick with brands more out of convenience than any devotion usually. It's primarily about making their lives easier. So think of it this way. If a brand consistently delivers what it promises to a consumer without too much of a hassle, consumers will stick by it. It's as simple as that. It's not about love. It's more about efficiency and functionality.
You're almost making brand loyalty seem like brand inertia.
Absolutely. They just like staying on the path unless you disrupt it for them.
I see where you're coming from. So suppose it is all about ease, habit, convenience, etc. So how do brands drive loyalty?
Okay. You're assuming brands can drive loyalty.
At least they can try to.
No, you're right. I'm just joking. So brands can drive loyalty, but they can't necessarily do it the way of creating an emotional bond or moving TVC. That's not how it works. So there are 4 factors which brand managers can use to drive loyalty. It's reward, personalization, memory, and social interaction. So let's start with reward. For instance, rewarding customers for their patronage in very, very small ways also creates a bit of a positive feedback loop. So that actually becomes an emotional experience, which consumers will feel like they're getting more than what they paid for.
Okay, so you're rewarding consumers for their behavior, the act of having been with you, having stood with the brand, etc.
Right.
Okay, so are we talking something like, say, what Starbucks or credit card companies do?
Yes, but I wouldn't call Starbucks a reward. They give you 1 coffee for after 10 and they make you feel good about it. But that aside. So credit cards, yes. Credit cards are a lot like that. But you'd see this common among a lot of hospitality brands, including airlines, hotels. So where your reward points, upgrading you to a business class, when you've gotten a certain amount of points, you've paid a lot of money for it. But just being upgraded gives you that feel of you having been delighted and getting more than what you paid for. And this becomes a reason for people to continue to consume or purchase your brand experience.
So if somebody keeps rewarding me, I will possibly exhibiting that behavior. It's almost like the Pavlovian theory. Whatever you're rewarded for, you keep doing it.
Exactly.
Okay, fair. Let's move to the second pillar then, which is personalization. What about that?
Personalized experiences basically make customers and consumers feel valued. When brands kind of manage to tailor their offering to individual preferences, tastes, and even identity sometimes, that kind of builds a stronger connection for them. It is mine. It creates a sense of ownership for the customer. I'll give you examples. Spotify gives out, even for the podcast, Spotify gives out the calendar at the end of the year. Not the calendar, the highlights of the year. The songs you've listened to. Netflix recommending the kind of shows you'd want to watch. In fact, even Indigo did this. So I saw a few people who wrote about Indigo, good experience or bad experience on social media. Then Indigo kind of addresses the issue if it's to be addressed, but keeps a track of you. And if the name pops up in a booking, they actually send you a personalized note for it. Handwritten note with a rose is sent to you at your seat. That costs no money, but it's still something very personal to you when you don't expect it.
So what you said was, first point was reward, which is something that a brand does for all their consumers. Personalization is about rewarding somebody in a personalized manner. You're still extending a reward.
Yes.
Maybe not material. No, I love it. And in fact, it reminds me of one of my experiences with Indigo. Simple thing. Somebody was carrying a very heavy bag and that lady was struggling to put it in the bin above. Even the air hostess was not able to pick it up, or rather they were struggling to find a space there. So I offered to take out my bag, create space for them, and my bag was a small one. I said, I'll put it in the seat in front of me. Just that. I just did that. And towards the end of the flight, the air hostess handed over a handwritten letter to me, handwritten small note to me. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you for, dear Mr. Sudeep, thank you for helping us out. Really appreciate it, etc. Just a simple note. A simple thank you would have sufficed. The fact that she was trained and she went out of her way to write this and have show this gesture kind of made it special, and therefore I'm talking about it today.
Exactly because people can offer personalization, but institutionalizing personalization is a key. And when they do that is when customers feel a sense of ownership towards the brand, and that also builds loyalty and repeat purchases.
Nice. Excellent. In fact, I like the fact that you use the example of Netflix and Spotify on one side and Indigo on the other. Netflix and Spotify personalized when they took the person out of there. It's the AI or the logic that helps them personalize. And Indigo is completely opposite, where you have people being put on it. But both these are examples of how various brands can do it. Excellent. I love the examples. Thank you for that, Sharan.
Awesome.
So rewards, personalization. The third one was memory.
Yes.
Okay. What is that?
It's as simple as top of mind. And
okay.
You would come up with a USP, people would copy it, and they will start saying the same thing you're saying. For example, we see the most trusted brands list every year, right? And I think ET publishes the 100 most trusted brands in India.
Yeah.
If you take that list and you pick them with the GRPs that they've had for, or now including digital spends, you'll find a very, very close correlation. When something is top of mind and there is no negative association with it, there is a very high chance people will pick you when they are at a point of purchase. From Airtel to Vodafone to any of the top 10 brands you take, all of them would be the biggest media spenders. And that's the basis of marketing. SOV drives share of market.
SOV plus hopefully a meaningful message. Pure GRPs, pure money spending wouldn't get you anywhere.
You got a clear message for it.
You can't be Jio Dhandanadan. But any decent message with good amount of money can get you there. So therefore, okay, so fair, you're saying that people will stick around if you are memorable also.
Yes.
They will choose you over competition, and thereby, you can think of it as loyalty. Okay.
True.
Fair. So rewards, personalization, memory, and the last one was social interaction.
Yes.
Okay. What is that about?
That's basically an extension of memory.
Okay.
So today with the digital media, you are interacting with consumers both ways. And also, as a thumb rule, when you advertise, 80% of your audience is not looking to purchase your category at the moment that they've seen your advertisement or your communication. So then what's the point of it? If they're going to miss, they're not in the market for it. You need to time. You would rather time yourself for when they're in the market, but that's almost impossible. So you need continuous engagement. You need to become a part of your consumer's social circle, which pretty much boils down to content marketing in today's terms.
Okay. Now, fair. I see where you're coming from. So for brands that are in categories that the consumers interact with on a fairly regular basis, you can become somebody that they interact with again on a very regular basis, on a daily, weekly basis. And then there are categories that possibly the brand, there are categories that are chosen by the consumer once or twice or thrice in their lifetime. There, I think content marketing or social interaction possibly would be about, whenever the consumer has any kind of thought about that category, you should be available and ready to give information, help, or whatever the consumer needs.
Yeah. And if you're the one supplying the expert information to them, when they are in the market, you will remain top of mind. And a challenge most people are facing with content marketing today, right? Because it was the buzzword until last year. Today is becoming a bit of a bad word because people are spending money without too much returns. And I know personally where the social media platforms kind of control what your reach is. And they want one big guy to fall for the next big guy to rise to keep the momentum going. So brands need to focus on off-platforming their audience.
Okay.
Building a following, building engagement, and taking them off the platform is where the money is. Look at Lego, right? So Lego was primarily for children. They created content for children. They monetize that content by getting into movies. They have a theme park, amusement park.
Yeah.
And all of these are just extended parts of the content creation. But they still make the most money by selling their building blocks. That's how they keep the consumers in the loop. Even when not looking to buy, they get you in through different content that they put out there for you.
Fair. I think that makes a lot of sense. Great. Okay, excellent. Now, okay, I think I will now firmly remember the 4-pillar formula, which is reward, personalization, memory, and social interaction. Now, I have one specific question for you. What do you think about brands that force loyalty on their consumers? I don't know whether I should use the word force, by building a ecosystem around them, right? Think of, say, an Apple,
right,
or say a Facebook. Now Facebook satisfies your social media needs. Plus, now they're trying to create a marketplace where you can sell stuff, right?
Yeah.
There is instant messaging also. There is calling also. So whatever you want to do, I think Jio also tried doing this. So everything within their ecosystem, would you call that loyalty? Would you call that forced loyalty?
I agree with you. I would call it forced loyalty because you see, Apple does it in a way that you just can't leave. I've been using the iPhone for a long time. I know the iPhone is not the best phone in the market. It's overpriced. Every year it's getting more overpriced, or some value is being taken out of the product. But I continue to use it because I'm within the ecosystem. a Mac, an iPad kind of just works seamlessly well. So while they're independently not the best device, when put together, they are a great device. However, when brands try to force loyalty, they also kind of bite the dust. You've seen Tata Neu trying to do the super app. Where independent brands, they're fantastic. But jumbling them up together, it's kind of eroding every brand's equity in the mix. You can't put a Ginger and a Big Basket right next to a Taj. It's not on. So that is where you need to be a little more tactful. But does forcing loyalty kind of keep your customers hooked? Until a competitor comes along, because you're still forcing the customer. It's against their will.
Or maybe, like I say, for Apple, now I've seen a lot of people stuck to Apple ecosystem. I myself am one, stuck to Apple ecosystem. And because I feel rewarded, the whole experience is so seamless that you don't have to worry. Even when you're changing your phone, your new phone is ready in 2 minutes.
Right.
Your iPad can be ready in 2 minutes, etc., etc. So I think I will go back to your formula and say that if building an ecosystem is rewarding, it is worth it. Otherwise, then I have more conviction in saying this. Otherwise, it is forced loyalty. Last, query on this one. The more I heard you talk about loyalty, it seemed that you were talking more about engagement. A lot of what you spoke about is about this, exchange with the consumer. So seemed like, for me in the engagement zone. So is it that our definition is wrong and it is clearly about consumer engagement?
Spoke of three things when you started: speed, ease, and habit. Now, all that the brand does in engaging the customer has to enable these three elements. You're rewarding them, you're creating a habit. And because they are in your ecosystem, it's easier for them. And therefore, it's also speed for them, because the distribution is not really a big thing there. You have your personalization. Again, you're driving all these three with the four factors, which is your reward, personalization, memory, and social interaction.
Okay.
That's what you do.
It's a fair one. Okay, excellent. No, I think I love this, Sharan. The clarity of definition of brand loyalty, not thinking of it blindly as something that, consumer will swear by and remain emotionally bonded to your brand. And it put your pitch puts the onus on the brand to command loyalty via the four factors that you spoke about, which is about reward, personalization, memory, and social interaction. And as long as brand keeps doing this in a sustained manner that differentiates it from other competitions around them, they will be rewarded with brand loyalty as we might believe.
Right.
And the consumers might continue to experience inertia.
Repeat purchase
inertia until some bigger external force comes along and pushes them to form new habits. Until then, it's an invitation to every brand or every brand owner out there who is listening to this podcast to try harder and get to know your consumer better, and possibly excel in one of these four or all four of them to create brand loyalty as you might like to believe it.
Thank you for listening to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharan Raghavan. Subscribe and learn more at cobcast.net. That's CoBBcast.net.